Nishmas, Yisha Liki, Rabbi Moshe Cordoveiro, Ramak Kadosh, Rabbi Moshe Cordoveiro, that we were in the middle of learning the first of the Yud-Gimel Midos, Nikel Kamoicha. And I thought I would give you a special treat. People had told me that reading in the Sforim just in Hebrew is difficult. So it so happens that the holy Heichal HaKodesh, the Kamonaruv, in his notes, composed a Kitzer Devorah. And that Kitzer Devorah is 5 pages, as opposed to the regular one, which is about 100 pages. And I gave out last week some copies of the Hebrew. So those of you have, fine. But I thought that we would start off today with the Nishmosai. I translated the Hakdama, the introduction to the Kitzer Devorah. And so let's read it together. Anybody who is interested, who's in our class, anybody who wants to sit in can. And this is the Hakdama to the Kitzer Devorah from the Kamono Rebbe. Anybody else wants, I have more. So the Kamono Rebbe was a Talmud Mifak of the Toldos Yaakov Yosef. The Heilige of Yaakov Yosef of Polonia, who was the senior Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov. So let's read it. Says the Kamonaruv, I received the tradition from my Rebbe that within man there are 10 spheres. Now remember, as we've learned in past shirim, the term Udam, man, is referring to this concept that Adam Rishon was made in a partnership with the Kodesh Baruch Hu and with the Oretz. And that's Ha'odam. Adam should have his feet planted firmly in the ground, and he should reach up to Shemayim. And so that's what Adam can be. Just like the Rambam says, as we've said many, many times, a person needs to set, like a watch, his heart to know Hashem. It's impossible to delve into the wisdom of Hashem if he is hungry, sick, or in pain. So too, the Torah Devorah is telling us how we can connect with Hashem. So let's go back. So says the Kamonaruv that within men there are 10 spheres. What is a sphera? So I thought of a definition. I hate reductionism. Reductionism is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You can't do it. You can't translate concepts into simple English language. But I tried here as much as I could. That a sphera is a progressively denser filtering channel through which emanating divine light can be accessed and used. So again, that within man are 10 spheres. Not just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world with 10 spheres, but within the Adam himself there are 10 spheres, says the Torah Devorah. For each person is a miniature world, is an olam kotan. And everything that can be found in the lofty worlds can also be found in the nefesh of each person. And so says the Kamoner, it is therefore explained in Torah Devorah how one is able to conduct himself in this world, to emulate Hashem, to make himself holy, and to emanate light in the same manner as the sublime spiritual spheres. And just as the spheres derive and emerge from ayin, from nothingness. So too, in order to emulate Hashem, one needs to completely nullify himself, humbling any pretension of self-importance that he has. And in this way, he'll be able to emulate the highest of the spheres, the upper aspect of keser, which is related to the Or Ein Sof, the great transcendent, infinite light of nothingness. As we're going to learn, as we learn about keser, and as the Zohar HaKadosh brings down, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu revealed himself to Klal Yisrael on Shavuos. He was called Zokein Molei Rachamim. He was a Zayda with unending compassion. And what sphere is that? That, my friends, is what Keser is. Let's continue. And as the Torah Devorah teaches us, by making ourselves into nothingness, this will enable us not only to bear humiliation and denigration, being defamed and cursed, but to welcome the insults and the denigration with love, gratitude, and joy. Well, wait a second. Are you mean to tell me that a Jew is supposed to love being insulted and stepped on? That sounds very much like Musar, not like Chassidus, not like Kabbalah. No. Don't get it wrong. I remember I was told that there are yeshivas and Bati Midrashis, Chassidish Bati Midrashis, that on Tisha B'Av in the morning, they'll daven b'hislavus v'simcha, and then cry bitter tears for the Shekhinah. And that's what a Jew is supposed to be. We're supposed to feel the pain of the Shekhinah. And so too, using the idea of the spheres for ourselves. We're supposed to look at ourselves as being worthless, as not having any koyach in of ourselves. Everything we have is a gift from Hashem. But of course, at the same time, appreciating and recognizing the gifts that Hashem has given us. Because Bishvili Nivra Olam, Hashem created the world for me. I am important. Without me, the world doesn't exist. There's no world without me. So says the Holy Ramak, by being aware that the Keser doesn't have anything out and of itself, is totally machni itself, klapi mala, in relationship to how Hashem is giving and giving and giving from this Or Ein Sof. So too, the Talmud Devorah teaches us. This teaches us to enable us to bear humiliation and denigration, being defamed and cursed, but to welcome it with love, with gratitude, and with joy. And of course, says the Kamorner, it goes without saying never to hold a grudge or seek vengeance. For this incredible light that comes to us, comes to our neshamas, this longing to attach ourselves, and this unbelievable quintessential pleasure of feeling the radiance of the Shekhinah will overcome any pain or hurt. And this comes from using the sphere of Keser as an example. For Keser is the source of perfect compassion and mercy. It is a realm where no blemish, hatred, or judgment of any kind exists or may enter. The tzaddikim say that if one is presented with dinim, if one is suffering, there are two ways one can overcome it. You can overcome suffering by connecting with Bina and doing Shiva, or you can overcome suffering by rising above the dinim. By rising above the dinim that are against us. And that's Keser. That's Keser. And kever is a place where there is overflowing, unending light. A light that we want to connect to and love. And so if we have dinim against us, chas v'shulam, if a person is suffering in any way, shape, or form, the answer is to connect to kever, to be incredibly happy and joyous, and to know that we are banim l'Hashem. No, we're not only banim l'Hashem, we're einiklach of Hashem, we are grandchildren of Hashem. Parents have sometimes a little bit of harshness. Grandparents are just overflowing, giving compassion. So in kever, there's no blemish, no hatred or judgment of any kind, nor may it enter. And that it will not enter, will not interfere with the ever-flowing, constantly overseeing benevolence upon all those who need and rely on Hashem's unlimited goodness. So too, those who seek to harm us or hate us, no creature should be despicable or disgusting in your eyes. But only with he himself, meaning with his ego, with his arrogance, and with his flaws, should he be sickened and offended. All the while joyously happy with the radiance and vitality that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given him. That is the hakdama of the Kamorner to the Kitzer Talmud Devorah. And I have 5 copies left. I'd be delighted to give anyone a copy of the Kitzer Talmud Devorah if you don't have it. And it's kedai to learn the whole Kitzer Devorah today if you want to connect with him. Simcha Rabba. So with that introduction, Heilig Rabbi Moshe Rabbi Yaakov, Ramak Kodesh. You know, they say, it's brought down in this forum, that when somebody learns this forum of a tzaddik, it's a bechina for a neshika. The tzaddik is kissing you. You're becoming one with him, you're unifying with him, you're making a yichud with him. And so as we learn Talmud Devorah, we should have in mind that we're bringing nachas to this heilige tzaddik. This tzaddik who's teaching us a different way of avodas Hashem, a different way from his Talmud, from the Ari Kodesh. The Ramah is teaching us to live in the world of kever, in the Orein Soif, and to bring into ourselves. So we started to learn last week the first of the Yud Gimel Midos Elyonis, the higher Yud Gimel Midos that are from the Novi Micha. We're going to finish the first one today, Yortzeit Hashem, but let's review what we learned beforehand. First of all, any questions anybody has? Okay, good. So, and I made a copy of it so everybody has to read it in English even. How about that? So this is, in English, the first of the Yud Gimel Midos. Mikel Kamoicha, in English and Hebrew. Anybody wants? It's right here. Han Banach the Yortzeit. Anybody else need the first of the Midos in English? Good. So Zug the Ramak. The Holy Ramak says, so the first of the Yud Gimel Midos is Mikel Kamoichu. Who is like you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How incredible you are. What does it mean? Hor al heyes HaKadosh Baruch Hu melech nelov. Soivel elboim. It's unfathomable how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a king who is insulted. And he tolerates this insult. What we can't even, our minds can't even grasp. That there's nothing in the world which is outside of the realm of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hashgacha. There's no place, not the bathroom, not the bedroom, no place Every place is under Hashem's hashgacha. I mention that because it's very interesting. A lot of people think that Hashem can be found in the shul, when you eat, when you learn, when you daven. But no. There is no place in the world that is void of Hashem's hashpos. And one needs to conduct himself with purity, with awe and awareness, no matter where one is, even in the bedroom, even in the bathroom. That Hashem's hashgacha goes over every place there is. And one has to conduct oneself with the humility and the awareness. Not that Hashem is looking at us with a camera, chas v'shalom, or the Big Brother is watching us. But no, again, this Zaken Moli Rachamim, this wonderful, wonderful, loving Father, is here to take care of us and to love us, and we need to be here, take care and love Him also, and conduct Himself not for our own pleasures, but for the pleasure that we are doing. Any act that we happen to be doing, any mitzvah we happen to be doing, is a very holy act. There's no inane act. There's no act which isn't holy. It's interesting. The Medrash brings down that Hillel Zaken, when he left the Beis Medrash one day, Hillel Zaken was asked by his Talmidim, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to do a mitzvah. I'm going to take care and feed my behema." Behema? Hillel Zaken has a behema? Has a horse? Has a donkey? Has a cow? You don't understand. I'm going to eat my meal now. And that's the behema. That's the nefesh bahamas inside of me. I'm going to nourish and nurture my animal soul with love. So every act, every physical act, every material act, every quote-unquote hedonistic act is really a holy act. And we have to find the holiness in everything we do. And that's what he means here. There is nothing which is above HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is hidden from Hashem's hashgacha, b'li savik, without a doubt. And not only that, there's no moment, there's no split second when a person doesn't stop receiving their life force and their existence from Hashem's benevolence. And how ironic, whenever a person desires to do an avera, to do a sin, they have a fire inside of themselves. They may think that they're compartmentalizing themselves. Excuse me, Hashem, I have a passion to eat this food, to do this avera, whatever. Hashem never compartmentalizes himself. Hashem is always, always looking out for us, even when we're doing averas. And so a person is constantly getting this life force, this constantly never-ending wellspring of life from Hashem, even when he's doing this avera. Hashem isn't holding back at all. And Hashem is making sure that his hands and his legs and his heart and all of his organs are working beautifully at the very moment when he's doing avera against Hashem. Crazy. And he's using that koyach that Hashem has given him to do an avera. And he's angering Hashem. And Hashem says, it's okay. I'm not insulted. It's like we said in the Hakdama from the Heilige Kamorner. Hashem wants to give, and this place of giving, there's no judgments. There's no revenge. There's no need to say, oh, you're going to get yours because you didn't take care of what I gave you. Hashem is so merciful, so loving, so giving. Mikel kamoicha. You might say, maybe Hashem doesn't have the power to stop me from doing my avera. In a second, Hashem can do whatever He wants. And He can completely dry up and make impotent His hands and His feet, as He did to Yeravim and Nevat. What's the story? So, we find that after Shlomo Melech died, his son after him was Rechavam and Shlomo. And unlike his father, Shlomo Melech, Yeravim was advised by his advisors to be kind. Yaakov Melech Chadash, there was a new king, a new Jewish king. And the advisors, the elder advisors, told Rechavam, be gentle to people. Don't tax them. Let them get used to you. Let's build the kingdom up. Because you're not going to stand in your father's footsteps. Be humble. But unfortunately, Rechavam had friends, young Turks as they call them. And those young Turks says, no, you have to put your foot down. You have to assert yourself. You have to tax the people. You have to show them who's boss. And because of that, the kingdom split in half. And the Russia, Yeravim and Nevat, took every tribe except for the tribe that Rechavam came from, Yehuda, and he split off into what later became the 10 tribes that were lost. And he built 2 mizbechos, 2 bamos, 2 altars, one in Beis El and one in Dan. And the Jewish people were at a critical moment of potential annihilation. The people were all going after Yeravim. And Hashem sent the Navi, Ido HaNavi, the famous Ido HaNavi, who was the Navi of David HaMelech. And he said to him, this Mizbeach that Yeravim was offering a sacrifice on, he said, Mizbeach, Mizbeach, I want you to split asunder, break in half. And Yeravim lifted up his hands to strike the Navi, Ido. And his hand shriveled into nothing. That's what the Talmud Torah is speaking about here. That Hashem has the power to do what He wants to. The Mefarshim asks the question, where's the Bechira Chavshis? If he shrivels his hands, he doesn't have free choice. Well, no. There's 2 answers. Number 1, Eis lasas Lashem efero sorasecho. There is a time of urgency when we need to rise above and leave nature and to demonstrate that Hashem hu Alikim, that the Midas Adin and Midas Arachim are both the same. They're all Hashem. And as we learn in the parsha last week, with Pinchas, there's a klal, ein schar mitzvah hayal maleka. We know that the mitzvahs we do in this world, there's no reward for them. We get the reward in the world to come. So ask the Mefarshim, what do you mean? We find that Pinchas not only got 1 reward, but he got 2 rewards. Pinchas became Eli HaNavi, and he became a Kohen. Doesn't get better than that. So, 34 years ago, my Rebbe, the Biola Rebbe, Zichron Livrocha, came to Los Angeles And he asked that question, and he answered as follows. It's true. Schar mitzvah b'hayal maleka. Aval schar mesiras nefesh b'hayal me'ika. When a person is moiser nefesh, when a person does something which is uncomfortable, which is painful, potentially life-threatening, for Hashem, for the honor of Hashem, the laws of nature are suspended, and he receives the reward in this world. And that's what happened to Yeravam ben Nevat. This need of an urgent moment needed to demonstrate that Hashem suspended the laws of nature in order to make Kiddush Hashem, and to show that this was a moment when the Avodah Zorah needed to be uprooted. And the Navi also proclaimed that 300 years later there would be born in Israel a great king named Yoshiyahu. And the Navi Ido proclaimed about him even then. So that's what he's saying here.
You have the second. You said there's two answers to how can they suspend free will.
Yes.
You have the second one. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says the second one.
Tell me.
Lubavitcher Rebbe says that when it comes to a man who doesn't want to give his wife a divorce, we're allowed to beat him up. So exactly.
Yeah.
So how is it possible? He doesn't agree. He's just doing it because of the beating.
Yes.
So the Lubavitcher Rebbe comes and says, no, every Jew wants to serve Hashem ultimately.
That's right.
And so
Very, very good. Yes. That every Jew wants to do the right thing. And sometimes you have to pound it out of him. There's some very famous thugs in Williamsburg who are famous for doing that, forcing someone to have a get, because a person has to give a get out of free will. But really, every Jew wants to do good. Yeravam ben Nevat created such a chil Hashem.
Everyone does that to force, yes, because some people need it, and the man does not want to give it because they want all the power.
That's right.
And that's wrong. So some people have to be thugs just to make sure that they give the get.
And those thugs really were doing the same thing that the Navi was doing. They were doing the Ratzon Hashem.
Pinchas,
Mesiras Nefesh. That's right. So that's what the Navi says. It's in Malachim Aleph, I believe, Perak Yud Beis. V'im kol zeh she'akol yad lachzir hakoyach hanishbahi. So even though Hashem has this incredible power to take away the koyach from this person who wants to do an avera, who is doing an avera, he doesn't stop. The Kodesh Baruch Hu could say, since you're sinning against me, you use your own strength. Don't ask for me. No, I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to give you the life force and the blood, like we learned last week in the Igros HaKodesh, Perek Lamed Aleph, that the life force in a person's, that blood, what causes a person's blood to flow, is the life force from Hashem. And Hashem could say, listen, I'm not going to give you a life force. You want to do an avera? Do it from your own strength. Hashem doesn't hold back anything from keeping a person healthy and alive. But he tolerates this insult. But he keeps giving him, and he keeps benefiting him. This is an insult that's beyond our comprehension. A person, we have a guest in our house, and the guest is going into our kitchen and taking our food, and then he's going into our china cabinet and stealing our china, and then he's going into our garage and stealing our car. That's what the Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing with us when we're doing Averas. We're in his home, and he's saying, it's okay. Why? The The Malachim are watching HaKadosh Baruch Hu as he's tolerating all of this Mishigasin that we're doing. And he's saying, Hashem, how can you do this? How can you tolerate this insult? Who is like you? And this is the meaning of the first of the Yid Gimel Midas of Rachamim, Elyonim. Who is like you, Hashem? Ata Kel, Bal Chesed Meitiv. You are so good. You have so much chesed in giving. El Bal Koyach Nakim Lasav Shacha. You have the ability in a split second to cut off the life force from all of these minuvolim who are doing averas. But you hold back and you tolerate ad shiyasu b'tshuva. Because maybe this person is going to tshuva, so you hold back and you wait. And it's the same thing like we talked about a moment ago, like Rabbi Yehuda said, that Lubavitcher Rebbe says. Maybe we can daven from this person. Maybe even by beating them up, using our intelligence, using our cleverness, using our minds, our interaction, our interfacing with them, using even our money to talk to someone, to interact with them, to let them know that what they're doing is not harmful. It's self-destructive. You, by taking from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are taking from yourself, as it were. Hashem can kill you in a moment. He doesn't want to. Why doesn't he want to? Because he hopes that you in your free will return to him, will come back to him like a wayward child. So now concludes the Talmud Devorah in Parak Aleph, Mida Aleph. And now we're going to apply it to ourselves. This is something that we need to apply to ourselves. Meaning, hasavlunas. We need to be patient with people. And even if we're insulted, even to this point where somebody breaks into our house and takes everything from us, if they're a person who we can influence and who we can affect, and we can show them that there's a better way, don't hold back from giving to this person who is a rotten person, because your discussions with him, your love for him, your teaching him the ways of Hashem can change that person's life, can make that person's life going from bitter to joyous. Let me ask you something. Think about somebody you know who's very, very rich or very, very, very hedonistic. They have a big house. They can have anything, they can buy anything they want. Remember we talked once about the famous prize fighter. Lost his health, he said it's all an illusion, right? But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us, and the Ramak is teaching us, that we have the greatest potential to change people's lives. Somebody who has wealth, has power, has influence, is generally miserable. A person who loves ice cream may be happy when he has the ice cream, but what about afterwards? I want more. He gives him more and more. Eventually, he's going to say, no, thank you very much. No. Because my friends, Gashmias is nothing but Gehenna. If a person has the physicality and the materialism of this world, ultimately they're going to be miserable. And these people that are doing averas, it's a case of mistaken identity. They say the famous story about the Rebbe of Yitzchak of Orker, that he came to a city and he was beaten up. The people thought that he was somebody who abandoned Naguna. And they figured out it was a case of mistaken identity. They didn't understand what really happened. Any Jew who does averas, it's a case of mistaken identity, my friends. The person doesn't want to rebel against Hashem. Says the Talmud Devorah, the Heilige Talmud Devorah, the Heilige Ramak. We have to be patient. We have to explain to them that the ways of Hashem are sweet. They're eternal. And not only will it taste good now, it'll be tasting good, and life will become sweeter and sweeter. That, my friends, is the lesson from the Midah of Mikel Kamoicha. Hashem is constantly patient, constantly waiting for us to return. Nothing can hold back what he's able to do. He's able to do anything, as he did with Yeravam ben Nevat. But he wants us to reach out. He wants us to love. And he wants us to feel his sweetness. Lachseis benoyam levaker behecholoi. To live with Hashem and bask in Hashem's sweetness and light and feeling the incredible joy in Olam Hazeh. Mirz Hashem, next week we'll be back again in the Al Sheikh. Yeshikoyach for coming, and I hope that the merit of the Ramak pleases us and that his great merit should smile down upon us. And if you can, come to the Ramak today if you're in Eretz Yisrael and Svas. And if you're not, and you can get a hold of the Kitzur, maybe we can put this online, the Kitzur, Kitzur Talmud Devorah. Learn it today. And if you can't learn it today, learn something from Talmud Devorah, and the tzaddik will be kissing you.
Amen.